Police officers have rejected the government's pay offer, which has been branded as the last chance before arbitration. An email sent to officers said more than 8,000 police overwhelmingly voted to reject the offer. Given police officers have rejected that after more than a year of negotiations as expected, now a third party arbitrator will be called in to settle it. The association presented officers with what the government had said would be its best offer and included a one-off $1,500 payment, new overtime payments starting from July next year at time and a half, a base pay increase of 4% starting in July 2024 and another 4% rise in July 2025. But the offer continued to frustrate officers because of the sticking points around back pay. I'm sure there's more to it than this as well. Previous offers had committed to back pay officers from when negotiations started, but these promises were clawed back in the more recent offer. So, Police Minister Mark Mitchell joins me now. We're going to talk through this. Mark, good afternoon.
Hi, Leah. How are you? I mean, I saw the headline about the situation with the Ram, and I wondered whether it was a serious headline, but it sounds like it is. That is awful.
Isn't that? I mean, I grew up kind of semi-rural, and steers we were told to stay away from, and bulls. Yep. And normally, though, bulls can be quite docile, but they're so big. But a ram, I need to look more into it, but will be a ram with his horns or just the... they got thick heads. Yeah, absolutely. If you spoke to farmers, they'd tell you that there's been many legs that have been broken and injuries caused by rams, in the stockyards especially. So it's just a horrible, tragic thing to happen. It's terrible. Yeah, we will get on to that. That's not why we are the conversation with the police minister,
sorry,
but Mark.
I was just listening to you in the lead-in, so...
That's sad. Not the result you wanted, Mark?
No, it's not. Of course, we're disappointed. Look, we are in a very fiscally constrained situation as the incoming government, with a set of books that mean that we've got a lot of work to do to start to move us back to surplus again. We've been living well beyond our means, and look, we worked very hard to put a best offer forward, and so of course we're naturally disappointed. And just you ran through it pretty accurately, other than you missed the first year, which was a general wage increase of $5,000 from 1 November to carry through to July. But and the other thing that we did, which I wanted, and which the association asked for, is to move to overtime at time and a half, which of course was never around in my day. And I would have enjoyed it, having been an on-call dog handler and AOS member, to have had that option. And we did go to that. So, of course, yes, we are disappointed.
Mark, there's a few things obviously also going against you, is that, this comes at a time when Australia is actively headhunting Kiwi cops, which they're offering relocation deals, significant pay increases. And also the Prime Minister, Christopher Luxon, insists that the government is still committed on the promise of hiring 500 extra officers. How is that going to happen?
Yeah, so we remain committed to that, and we're putting strategies in place to achieve the 500. But look, the reality of it is, I don't want to lose any of our police officers to Australia, but Australia has been here for decades. Australia were here recruiting when I was in the police, because they recognise the quality and the standard of our police officers. I am not critical of any police officer that makes decisions to move to Australia. They've already provided outstanding public service for us here in New Zealand, and at the end of the day, Australia is a high wage economy, and obviously a lot of the work we're doing as government is to get us moving in the right direction in terms of being a higher wage economy.
Mark, I think, and I don't know if you heard just before 4 o'clock when I first jumped on, policing was a central election issue for National, also ACT and New Zealand First. You all said you were increasing police numbers and cracking down on crime. So I guess, Mark, where does this leave the public? Should we be concerned that was all kind of talk and now nothing's going to be done?
Look, we support the police. We're passing legislation to give them more powers to be able to interrupt and start to deal with the gang problem that we've got in this country. They're getting more powers and we're passing laws in terms of dealing with violent retail crime. Absolutely. Look, and the other thing that I would highlight, Leah, is the fact that as the incoming minister, one of the first things that was raised with me is that the constabulary competency service increment that police officers are entitled to as they move through their service, the Labor government had taken that and said that the police now had to fund that within baseline instead of the Crown funding it. And we have reversed that, and the Crown is going to fund that again, which frees up more money to be able to spend and support our police front line. So, we are definitely moving in a direction where we want to give them more tools, where we accept and understand that in the last 6 years, the frontline police officer's job has become more dangerous. A big part of that is because a lot of these criminals, whether they be adult gangs or whether they be youth offenders, they've lost a lot of respect for our frontline police officers, and we've got to get that back. And when we start to get that back, then their job will become safer as well.
I mean, this was from Chris Cahill, obviously. I spoke to him on Monday, and, he said increasingly police had been vocal about poor morale and poor conditions amongst the force. They said they didn't feel valued for the work they did or the dangers that they face every day. What would you say to that?
Well, I'm very passionate about our police service, having been a very proud member myself, and but I do agree with them that the morale must be tough. I mean, we're introducing gang laws, and a lot of the narrative that you hear is around saying that our police aren't capable of enforcing them. Of course they are. We've got one of the most capable police forces in the world, but they just, I think, getting behind them and knowing they've got a government that supports them, that will pass legislation. I know that the pay round has been very difficult, but at the end of the day, Leah, like I said, we have put forward our best offer, and that is in a current fiscal environment that is very, very tough. That we've come in as the incoming government, we've got a set of books that are atrocious, and if we don't get us moving back into towards a surplus, then as a country we're living beyond our means, and it's going to end up far worse for us.